Assalamu alaikum. I hope everyone can see the screen now.
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, great.
Can we give like a couple more minutes knowing
Oh, sure. Okay.
with all on time?
Yeah.
Thank you. Vina, do you see any messages to admit anyone?
No. Lamia, do you see my presenter screen or a regular slideshow?
No, right now I see your presenter screen.
Okay.
Looks good. Oh, it was good.
Oh, it was good before? Okay.
Yeah. I guess we can start and you can go ahead and
Okay. Great. So thank you everyone who's on the call. I'll go in English because I'm not sure uh, who's on the call and their language is. But let me introduce quickly here what this is about and who I am. My name is Vina Abushaira Soliman, and my business is Upskill AEC, and it's a consulting architecture engineering, and AEC, which is construction and engineering consulting services and career coaching for people in this industry. So I deal with people who are a lot of fresh graduates that I do coaching for, and regular consulting for engineering and architectural companies. So first I wanted to start with the purpose of this presentation. So the purpose today is just to get you up to speed into where the industry is heading, what are some trends that are happening, and a huge topic which I specialize in, which is BIM. And we'll have a high level explanation of what BIM is and the impact it has over our industry. So a little bit about myself. I've been director at an engineering company for 15 years until just this last year that I started devoting myself into, just doing my own businesses and consulting. And some also software startups that I'm involved with. And my background is architectural engineering. I have been involved in Autodesk, a company which is the software company that creates all the engineering software for engineers, mechanical, plumbing, electrical, and architects. I work also with immersive technology, so VR, AR, and mixed reality. And like the VR goggles and all that stuff, and drones. So all the technologies that architectural and engineers on site and in construction deal with. I'm Revit certified as well. Again, Revit is the BIM software that we were going to cover some basics about it. Also, IC Agile certified, which is the software uh, uh, system that we use to develop any software solutions and development and programming. Project management as well, I've done that, and I do provide BIM trainings as well as a part of the consulting. Software development, I talked about that. So that's just to give you an idea what my experience is, so you can relate to this presentation. So some career facts that I wanted to talk about here is that a lot of us in this industry actually who ended up doing it, a lot of us are already graduates from engineering and architecture, but the fact is only 27% of people in our industry end up doing what they studied. So a lot of people out there are not doing what they originally studied. And I'm considered one of those people. Like, I'm not a traditional architect or engineer, and there are a lot of us who didn't continue the traditional path. So this is just to open the eyes of a lot of fresh graduates, so that they know that if they don't find a job right away in an immediate architect position or mechanical engineer or electrical engineer position, this is not the end of the world. There are so many positions out there. And in one of the companies, we did a brainstorming session. And if you see my screen right now, you see that there are 86 responses. And this is not even the whole thing. This was a brainstorming session for architects. Sorry, I see something in the chat. Let me just quick. Okay, there's nothing. Okay, so there are more than 86 careers that can come up from someone who graduated architecture, and we're not even involving engineers. So you can see here what are all the opportunities out there that for fresh graduates or people who are looking to do a fresh start, or people who just want to specialize more so that they are more create a differentiator in their niche, or try to be more specialized than doing just the typical career path that everyone else is doing. So some of these are, obviously there are jobs related to code, to BIM, to 3D, to software, to even other industries that people wouldn't assume that architects are involved in, but there's even in the history areas and museums, there are people who work in education. There are people who work in our industry, but a little bit of different avenues like marketing, specifications, lighting. All of these are actually architects. So you can see here, just like from all these 86 responses, also like the gaming industry, like a lot of other industries out there, fashion, a lot of these are actually architects and designers and engineers as well, who just took these a little bit of different routes. Okay, so I'm trying to go to the next slide. So here we're going to talk a little bit about BIM, and why BIM. I'm mentioning it here because BIM is really just the basic ground when we're talking about technology and how technology can benefit anyone in our industry. Again, in the architecture, engineering, and construction world, BIM is the basic. If you work in our industry, then you've definitely heard the word BIM and CAD. BIM is like the next level of CAD, but right now it is the basic of everything. So if you want to look at AI, it starts with BIM. If you want to look into data and analytics, it starts with BIM. So all the future capabilities of including technology starts in our industry. It has to start with BIM. And the reason is BIM is just converting our data into digital models. And the word actually stands for building information modeling. So you are, instead of drafting, you are building in real time, and you are building building elements. And every little part of it has data attached to it. So for example, instead of drawing a line in a floor plan like you used to do in the old days when it was drafting and before even computers, now in BIM, you draft or you draw a wall right away. And before even sketching that wall, you know already what layers are there, the thickness, the height of that wall, what materials are in it, does it have insulation or not, what is that wall standing on? Like, you are doing it. So once you're done, your building is done actually in 3 dimension, and all the data related to it is already existing. So that's why this is so important, because once your building model is complete, you are able to connect it to other things. So you're able to connect your building. If you're an engineer or an architect, you're able to connect your building to facilities management, to the real estate developers. You're able to take it to that digital twin level, not just that construction and design phase that we're working on. Sorry, girls, can you close the door? Go. I'm sorry, the kids are here. So this is really the basic of any future technology. It's that BIM industry. So it is between, so to be, for people who are specialized in BIM, and there's definitely a lot of careers that branch out of BIM, but it is the intersection between IT and AEC. So someone with a background in engineering or architecture, but also you need some knowledge of IT, meaning computer science. So we need some knowledge of software, hardware, things like that. So some examples of how BIM impacts our industry is that it's involved in not just, again, the design. So you have the design, you have the simulation, you have the document management. In fact, it is required right now by all of the government entities. If you are an engineer or an architect, and you are the one getting the permits, like if you're the AOR, like architect of record or engineer of record, you are required for a lot of the governmental entities to provide your drawings in BIM format, meaning it needs to be, you must have used Revit or equivalent software that uses the BIM technology to get those permits, and to provide them to to that client, which in that case is the government, a governmental entity. So it is right now actually a requirement, but you can take it to the extra level where, again, we're talking about procurement, facility management, for specifications, and for IoT, like if you're connecting, you have a heating system and you want your pipes, or you want, your building, for the facility manager to see if there is something that's malfunctioning in pipes, or AC is not working or something like that in a large building. If you're using BIM from the beginning, you will have that, automatically detected. And that's where the whole, data points are connected. So you can see here how it's all connected, and it even exists in laws and regulation. And there are now even specialties that there are architects who specialize in law, who are, if something goes to court, these are the people who go there. They are architects and lawyers at the same time. So it is really a field that is growing. So if you are in the AEC industry, the takeaway from this is that you need to have BIM utilized in your company. If you're an engineer, or architect, civil, surveyor, any of these, you definitely need to consider including BIM in the tools that you're using in your toolbox. And also, as the deliverable has to be a digital deliverable in a BIM format. So here are, this is the life cycle in our industry of everyone who uses BIM. So you have the owner, or the client, you have the general contractors are also using these files, the architect, and then there is a BIM manager. So the BIM manager is sometimes, each one of those hire their own BIM managers, and sometimes they even outsource BIM management to completely, which is sometimes what I do with my company, is that people hire us as an independent BIM manager. So sometimes we are hired by the architect. Most of our hiring is by architects, but sometimes we are hired by the client, which is the owner, and we still get to work with everybody equally. But if we're working with the architect, then the engineer has their own BIM manager in-house or outsourced, whatever. But then we are dealing with multiple BIM managers in that case. This is really the life cycle of our industry. Now here, this is the utilization of BIM per industry. So architects, there is a large usage, but to your surprise, if you're an engineer, you'd be surprised, but most of the services of using BIM is actually by engineers, just because due to the nature of the amount of, quantity and number and demand, there are more engineers than architects. So we do get to work with more engineers. And then by builders, there is also a fair amount. So here we're going to jump into some of the industry trends in 24 to watch for if you're in our industry. Of course, again, as I mentioned, BIM is the basis, but if you're using BIM, then you can take advantage of all of these technologies that are growing right now. So drones on the construction side, this is something that's becoming very important, and drones are different types. There are some that are using laser scanning out there. There are all different types of drones in the construction world. You've probably seen the robots that go on the side that look like little robot dogs. That also are a type of drones, but like those what we call walking robots. But then there's also 3D printing. So that's used a lot in architecture firms, and also the shops, manufacturing shops. And then there is the other area that is growing is obviously AI and data analytics. That's the biggest trend that everyone is talking about. But it's really used in every aspect of our industry. So it's used in designing, when you're designing as an architect or an engineer, but also used on by the owners and the developers and the construction managers. And then there is immersive technology, and that's like VR and AR. It's still growing, and now with the Apple goggles that came out recently, I would say it's still growing. But the most area of immersive technology that I see being used is actually People think it's VR, but it's not. Actually, what's being used a lot is augmented reality. So augmented reality is like when you have on your phone an app like any app that has a filter. You probably have seen filters on Instagram, maybe TikTok. I don't know. I don't use it, but there's also Snapchat, all of these apps that have filters. So this is an example of using augmented reality. So we use it a lot in our industry, where if we're working with architects, we do develop a lot of applications where instead of actually printing a 3D print and spending money on printing something in 3D, a lot of times we just load this BIM model into an iPad, and then we just have it linked to an object on a piece of paper or to a QR code. Sometimes, and once that is like a lot of times we do it with a floor plan. So once you're presenting to your client the floor plan, then it pops up by the QR code or by anything really. It could be even by the floor plan itself. Then it pops up on the iPad as a 3D. And I'm planning to do sessions more in the future, just specifically about immersive technology to show examples. You know, maybe you'll get a link in the future about that because it's a pretty cool example for engineers and designers of what you use with clash detection as well as another example. So, you know, having the systems and how they are clashing together, and in those coordination meetings, also it's used a lot, that technology, which is the augmented reality, which is a form of the immersive technology. So that's really growing. Cloud collaboration is continues to grow, and if you haven't yet, but you probably, if you're not doing it in our industry, but you're definitely already doing it everywhere else, right? Like this presentation is going to be saved to the cloud. If you're using any BIM software or even CAD, you are already saving and accessing your license from the cloud. There is no more people saving files on servers like it used to be. Right now, it is everything saved to the cloud. And in the AEC industry, or in our world, we are dealing with the engineers. Everything is online on the cloud. So it's enabling people to be able to work remote, but also the people who are working on site and the engineers and architects, once they are on site, they are able to immediately see the most up-to-date drawings and seeing all the changes, you know, all if there are any, any requests of change or anything like that, all of that is live and happening because our entire drawings and work is online collaboratively. So you have 5 team members working on the same project. Like if we're architects, I'm working on the core and shell, and the engineer is working on the same system that's actually passing through the wall that I'm working on. We are doing this simultaneously at the same time, and the architect who's on site is able to see what we're working on and those changes. So this is what cloud collaboration is. It continues to grow. It continues to be better and involving more. So right now, this is kind of the technological challenge that sometimes happens. So right now, there are a limit to how many people could be there. You are always able to add more people, to add more team members, to have more locations and things like that. But to be able to do that, it takes a lot of effort and setup work. So these steps are becoming easier and easier. But it is, you know, always possible, but just with the extra amount of work and setup on the infrastructure side of technology. So this is just in a nutshell all the trends in 2024. So here, this part of the presentation is more for the career, you know, the building your toolbox for the rest of your career when you are working in our industry. So we talked about the basic knowledge and the basic toolbox knowledge that you need to have, which is the BIM software. The next level, we call it the intermediate. Intermediate is usually some videos and sessions as a training, and there's also a need of hands-on projects. But in that example here, people sometimes want to be more specialized. So if we use an example here, if you're an architect, then you might want to specialize in 3D design. In that case, then you want to focus your knowledge, not just BIM knowledge. Again, we said that's the baseline, but maybe you need to learn more specific tools, not just one tool, but a couple of tools to be specialized as a 3D designer, right? We talk about advanced. So here, advanced is the professional certification, which is an example of that, the Revit certification that I have, for example. So if someone wants to be advanced and to be, this is their career at some point, they want to be the go-to person, and maybe they want to be a consultant or something like that. then they need the certification in a particular software. So to do that, people need to learn the basics. They need hands-on projects, either at work or on their own. If they, if they join, a training facility or something, or like working with us, for example, we do these kind of things. And in addition to that, they prepare for the test, which gives them that certification, which prepares them for the job hunting process, right? And then there is so career specialist is that next level, right? So there are people who need that help out there, that okay, they want to take it to that next level, so they need to be coached by someone. Sometimes you have that person in your company, it's a mentor. In big companies usually have mentors, if you have that career path obvious. But if not, then you are trying to find a career coach in your industry that helps you figure that process out and tell you what trainings to do, what videos to watch, what certifications to do. And I do actually a couple of these for free as well, for people who need to grow in their career, the first couple sessions. So this is something that
Vina,
oh, go ahead.
sorry, I think there are few people are trying to join.
Oh, I am not seeing that. Oops.
Um,
How do I see that?
I think you may get it on the top of the screen saying, admit participants.
I'm not seeing any of them. Are you able on your end to admit them?
No, because you're the host.
Yeah, I don't see anything. So tell me, Lamia, can I make you the host again, or?
I think we may lose the recording.
Oh, okay. Okay, hold on. I think I'm seeing here. Oh, okay, waiting room. Okay, there were two people. Hello. Welcome to this. We have been recording, so don't worry, you will get a recording of the parts that you have missed. So far we just finished that slide about building your toolbox as a professional in the AEC industry, whether you are at the beginning of your career or you are at a point where you're trying to create that differentiator in your skill set so that you're more specialized, or you're trying to find a different career path. So we talked about that, and you will see it in the recording. And before this, there was an introduction about BIM as a base level, and um, the trends in 2024. That's just the brief of what we went through. So yeah, make sure you see the recording. So next year, I just wanted to talk a little bit about what that job hunting means. And so actually my presentation was made for 30 minutes. So let me, if we have more and people want me to go through the beginning again, I don't mind, or people want to have more questions. I don't know, what are we in terms of time?
No, I think we're good. They can just go
Okay.
back to.
Okay. Okay, so the job hunting part, which is again, once you know your career path and what you're trying to achieve, and again, you have built that toolbox, of knowledge, right? Toolbox meaning the tools that you need to know so that you can, find a good position if you're looking for a job, or again, differentiate yourself from the crowd in the AEC industry. So the job hunting process here, I just wanted to talk about something that I see with a lot of people who have spent a couple years working, and then a lot of people go like, okay, I've been doing. Again, I'll use the example of an architect. I've been an architect for 5 years, and the career growth is just looking very, very slow. But how do I start looking in other directions, and what are the options for me? So again, there are options of being more specialized, which is always a good idea. But some people actually want to consider, creating their own businesses. How do we do that? So creating your own business could mean you're doing, again, consulting in that very general topic that you're specialized in. So you could be an architect specialized in hospitality type of buildings. You could be an engineer who is focused on code, electrical engineer focused on code, or you could be really just, again, specialized in something, but you can have that business that's focused on that, or you could be focused on something completely different. As we mentioned before, it could be something in that focuses on another industry, Again, I'll use the example of museums because it's something that a lot of people don't think about. But you could be an architect who specialized in museum design and experiential design or things like that. So there are other industries that you can use your experience in. But when it comes to startups, so it's always possible to keep your full-time job, but at the same time start building that toolbox and slowly head towards having that startup. And once you feel that it's starting to take over, and you need more time to focus on it, that's when you leave your main job. And that's usually with younger people who have that amount of time that they can work two jobs at the same time, which is some people call like a side hustle and all that. So we do have again, when I was talking about helping startups and the free sessions that I do have something called Venture Studio, which is people who are willing to do startups. And it's something for free actually that we're doing. Is I help the teams start and collaborate together, and coach them what it is from a business standpoint that you need to build your own technology-based startup. I'm focused again, my specialty is technology. So technology when it comes to the AEC industry. So for a lot of these younger people, I help them with building the team, assembling based on their skill sets, and creating that startup and company, and then they can go on their own. And there aren't that many venture studios out there for in our AEC industry. But once you start and you have a startup, going in that startup world with finding funding and a lot of that's in our networks, it's actually pretty strong. And we have a lot of there are a lot of venture funds that are specially focused on construction tech and prop tech. So there's really a good opportunity for people who not want to do the corporate career path and want to do their own business that's based on technology. So that's also a really good option for younger people who just graduated. So I think this is the last thing here. Just a couple of takeaways from this session is that, definitely include BIM. If you're in the AEC industry, BIM is the baseline. I can't stress it enough. You have to make sure your deliverable has a BIM format available. If you're only using CAD, you have to start considering Revit. You're already aware that it is a requirement for a lot of big clients. So if you want to grow, you need to have BIM as a service. And as a toolbox, part of your toolbox. Dream big. Our industry is definitely growing. It's growing in size, in a bigger portion of the economy, and there's a lot of sustainability considerations and usage of technology that is growing every day. It is possible if you're younger and you're just starting your career to have a mentor. So whether that's a person who is in your company or reach out in your network and find someone. And again, we are Lamia created a great community. So I'm one of those people if you are in our AEC industry when it comes to technology. Find a niche, try to think outside the box, try not to, if you're just looking out there, don't only look at architecture firms and engineering companies, look out there in a lot of other industries. And giving forward. And again, I want to, use this MPG as a network. Like this is a way for us to give forward, like I'm trying to find people who I can help. When you do that, you find help coming to you in other ways. So definitely if you have any sort of experience professionally, with this network, then you can be that mentor for someone. So try to find those mentees. So yeah, this is really it. I want to know if anyone on the call has questions. Okay, great. I think I can stop the recording. And Lamia, I saved it to the cloud, so I think you will see it on your end.
Sure. So I have a quick question, like considering for some college students, right, that are to kind of get into the field of engineering or things like that. Since there's a lot of sectors, right? Like there's architects, there's structure, there's civil, there's that. If they're undecided, what are the few things that they can look for to decide if they really want to be a civil engineer or architect or what's not?
So it depends where they are in their life, right? Or in their, if they are still like someone who's didn't go to college yet, is that your question? Or you're talking about someone who's already uh, done with the undergrad degree?
No, I think they're going to college, they're applying, they want to become engineers, but they don't
Mm,
decide if they want to do mechanical or they want to do structure or architect. Like, what are some of the advantage or disadvantage, if any?
yeah, so let me, that's actually a very good question. So I think it's important to see what they, and now I'm saying that after many years of experience, it's important to see what the classes and things that they are interested in, right? So if they are undecided, architecture is great undecided option because again, I just showed you there are so many careers that can come out of architecture, and some of it is in the engineering side, and some of it is in the technology side, like myself, and some of it is in the design side, right? So it has really a lot of branches out there. They could specialize in interior design. They can specialize in, in gaming. They can specialize in so many things out there. And there's the engineering side as well, if they decide to go with software or data or any of that. So architecture is a good example. The other good example, I think, when it comes to engineering, is always going to be software engineering. As if they really want to have like so many options, and it's engineering, so I think it is software engineering. And within software engineering, once they go to college, there are a lot, like they can be software engineers, and later on, even in engineering school, they can take other majors, and they can do the opposite way around. If they know they want to be structural engineers, and they do the 4 year undergrad, uh, Bachelor of Engineering or Bachelor of Science. The good thing here in America is different than where I grew up in Egypt. Here you can do many like majors and minors, so it's a good idea to do a mix. Versus in Egypt, like you have to really just pick one thing and this is it. But here, the good thing is that you can do an undergrad in something. So you can do an undergrad in engineering, and you can then do the master's in something completely different. That's also engineering related, but you can do the software as master's, and then the undergrad could be that structural or mechanical or electrical. Does that make sense or answer your question?
Oh wow, very old.
Yeah, thank you.
Um, Yeah, but I'll be happy if you know any students who have questions about engineering, or again, special engineering, there are many, but someone interested in AEC, architecture or mechanical, electrical, plumbing, construction related. I'm happy to talk to them. We have, I'm active with that organization, ACE, which is, we are architects, and we give classes actually to high school students to teach them about architecture if they are interested in architecture. So I'm pretty sure in the school, they most likely have someone that they can reach out to ACE, or I can do that also with them if they are in your network.
Great. If you can share like some of that information, like maybe their flyer or something, if they're interested to kind of sign up for some of these
Sure,
classes,
sure.
maybe you can share it on the group, and that way
Okay, okay, I'll find the information. Yeah.
thank you so much. That was very informative. Thank you.
Thank you, Lemmy, for organizing this.